Greetings, my dear friends. This is Dreamweaver Mystics, as always. Before I begin, I want to say something very important. Everything you are about to hear is only my thoughts and guesses. These stories cannot be confirmed. I was not there. I do not have a time machine. I have not met any living witnesses. I simply read, compare, wonder, and share with you. And you decide whether to agree or to doubt. Today I want to talk about eternal life, about whether it is even possible, and about those who, according to ancient texts, lived so long that it seems like something out of science fiction. Let us start with the most famous source, the Bible. In the Old Testament, we read about patriarchs who lived incredibly long lives. Adam lived 930 years. Seth lived 912 years. Enosh lived 905 years. Kenan lived 910 years. Mahalalel lived 895 years. Jared lived 962 years. Enoch lived 365 years, but he did not die. He was taken by God. Methuselah, the most famous long-lived figure, lived 969 years. Lamech lived 777 years. Noah lived 950 years. After the flood, lifespan drops sharply. Shem lived 600 years. Arphaxad lived 438 years. Shelah lived 433 years. Eber lived 464 years. Peleg lived 239 years. Reu lived 239 years. Serug lived 230 years. Nahor lived 148 years. Terah lived 205 years. Abraham lived 175 years. Isaac lived 180 years. Jacob lived 147 years. Joseph lived 110 years. Today, such numbers seem unbelievable to us. We consider 100 years to be the limit. And if someone lives to 110 or 120, it is a sensation. What happened? Why did people live so long? And why did lifespans drop so sharply after the flood? One explanation is the vapor canopy hypothesis. According to this hypothesis, before the Great Flood, the Earth was surrounded by a water canopy, a layer of water vapor or thin ice in the upper atmosphere. This canopy protected the planet from harsh cosmic radiation, ultraviolet rays, and radiation. It created a greenhouse effect, maintaining a warm, uniform climate across the entire planet. And most importantly, this water canopy is thought to have protected living organisms from the harmful radiation that accelerates aging and causes mutations. Before the flood, proponents of this theory say, Earth's atmosphere was like a giant greenhouse. There were no sharp temperature changes, no damaging ultraviolet radiation, no radiation background that shortens our lives today. Then the flood happened. The water canopy collapsed onto the earth. It rained for 40 days and 40 nights. The water that once protected the earth became the water that destroyed it. After the flood, the protective canopy was gone. Cosmic radiation began to reach the surface, and people began to age faster. Lifespans first dropped to a few hundred years, then to 200, then to 100. Does this sound plausible? Perhaps, but it is only a hypothesis. We have no proof that the water canopy existed. but we also have no proof that it did not. But the Bible is not the only source that speaks of long-lived people. Take ancient Mesopotamia, the Sumerians, the Akkadians. There is a document called the Sumerian King List. It is a list of rulers who supposedly existed before the flood, and the numbers there are simply staggering. Alulim, the first Sumerian king, reigned for 28,800 years. Alalgar reigned for 36,000 years. Enmenluana reigned for 43,200 years. Enmengalana reigned for 28,800 years. Dumuzid reigned for 36,000 years. Only after the flood do the reigns begin to drop to hundreds and tens of years. Of course, historians and archaeologists consider these numbers mythological, symbolic. Perhaps the Sumerians used some other calendar system, or the number of years of reign was linked to astronomical cycles, or they are simply legends that should not be taken literally. But still, it is strange. Both the Bible and the Sumerian lists show the same pattern. Before the flood, people lived for thousands of years, shockingly long. After the flood, lifespans dropped to numbers that are more normal and understandable to us today. If this is just a myth, why does it appear in different cultures that had no contact with each other? Coincidence? Or a shared memory of something that really happened? Now let us look at Asia. China, India, Tibet. There, long-lived people did not reach the biblical scale, but their ages are still impressive. And we have not only legends, but also medical records that are considered historical documents. In China, during the Qing dynasty, there was a doctor named Xu Wense. His age is recorded in documents as 300 years. He was born in 1648 and died in 1948. He lived through several changes of power. He was recognized by official authorities. Li Qingyun, another Chinese long-lived person. According to various sources, he lived between 197 and 256 years. He was born in 1677, according to other sources 1736, and died in 1933. He was a herbalist, practiced Qigong, and lived a moderate life. Chinese newspapers wrote about him. Photographs of him exist. He had 24 wives and more than 200 descendants. Gi Yule from the Han Dynasty lived 280 years. His age is mentioned in medical treatises. The Taoist monk Hua Cao lived 290 years. He practiced breathing exercises, meditation, and ate herbs. Buddhists and Taoists explain longevity not by genetics or chance, but by lifestyle. Proper nutrition, spiritual development, mental activity, moderation, inner harmony. All of this, they believe, contributes to a long life. In Tibet, there are monks who are said to live 150 to 200 years. There are no official records, but oral traditions persist. And interestingly, Buddhists and Hindus believe in reincarnation. For them, eternal life is not the endless existence of one body. It is the endless journey of the soul through many lives. Now, let us think about the future. Can modern technology give us eternal life? There are studies that say the first person who will live to 200 years has already been born. Scientists are studying the mechanisms of aging. Telomeres, the end sections of chromosomes that shorten with each cell division. If we learn to lengthen them, we could slow down aging. Epigenetics, the ability to reprogram cells to behave as if they were young again. Treating age-related diseases, cancer, dementia, heart disease. Cryonics, freezing the body after death in the hope that future medicine can revive it. It sounds like science fiction, but who knows? 100 years ago, flying to the moon was science fiction. I do not know if eternal life will become a reality. I do not know if we will live to see it. I do not know if we would even want it. Because eternal life in one body is not only joy, it also raises the question of meaning. If you have infinity, why rush to do anything? Why love if you can do it any time? Why create if you have eternity ahead of you? Many religions say that the finiteness of life is not a curse, but a gift. It makes us treasure moments. It gives value to each day. It motivates us to act. But there is another view of eternal life, the reincarnation of the soul. Hindus and Buddhists believe that the soul does not die with the body. It moves into a new body. It is born again. And this cycle, samsara, can last forever. If this is true, then the question of eternal life gets a different answer. Your body is not you. You are the soul. The soul is immortal. It lives forever, changing bodies like clothes. Then longevity in one body is not the main thing. The main thing is what happens to the soul. Does it grow? Does it become wiser, purer, brighter? In this context, the long-lived people of the past are simply those whose bodies lasted longer than average. Their souls are the same as everyone else's. They just had more time in one lifetime. Or perhaps, and this is only my guess, in the past, people really did live longer because of the water canopy, because of different conditions, because of clean air and water, because of the absence of toxins, because of a different lifestyle. We live in a world that accelerates our aging. Stress, polluted air, chemicals in food, electromagnetic radiation, lack of sleep. We destroy ourselves every day, and we wonder why we live so little. Maybe the secret of longevity is not in pills or technology. Maybe it is in simple things, in peace, in moderation, in harmony with nature, in spiritual practice, in what we eat, how we breathe, what we think about. The Buddhists are right about one thing. Spirituality affects the quality of life. A person who lives in fear, anger, envy, ages faster. Their body wears out from negative emotions. But a person who lives in peace, joy, love, stays healthier longer. Not because their DNA is different, but because their life is different. I do not know if eternal life exists. I do not know if people lived for hundreds or thousands of years. I do not know if science can give us immortality. But I know one thing. The quality of life is more important than its length. It is better to live a short but fulfilling life than an endless but empty one. And if the soul is immortal, if reincarnation is real, then we already have eternal life. We just do not notice it because we are too busy with this one short life. And that is all for today. This was Dreamweaver Mystics. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit the notification bell so you do not miss new videos. And write in the comments, do you think long-lived people really existed? Do you believe in eternal life? Would you like to live 200 years? 500 years? Forever? I read everything. And remember, perhaps you are already living forever. You just do not remember it. Until next time.